Hello there, people. I really don't know if this is taking or not. I haven't made one of my non-professional, non-video audio presentations for some time. But I thought that I might try to do one here tonight. Well, this morning actually, while the children were asleep, and I'm very tired. I probably should be in bed, but I don't know when I'll have time to do this, so this is the time I'm going to do it, because I did promise my listeners that I would do a presentation. I would go into depth on the whole concept of work. In my earlier presentation, I mentioned that there are different definitions for this word work. Work. W-O-R-K. And my wife mentioned to me that I should just pause and not say "ah" so much. So I'm going to pause. Perhaps I should turn my music up when I pause, so that you have something to listen to. Yeah, my 1-year-old is behind me in her jumper because that's where she likes to sleep. But to put it briefly, to work means to function. All right? When something does not function, it does not work. And when I tried to explain this, my camera kept cutting out on me because it did not work. It did not function. So I didn't get to finish that presentation on work because the camera did not function. Hope that was a long enough pause. So, I guess what I'm trying to explain is a lot of people think that if you are not employed, if you are not in the service of a corporation for pay for your time and energy, then you are not working. And I just want my listeners to know that very little could be further from the truth. Right now, my mouth is working, my computer is working, my fingers work when I type, and I'm working when I'm typing my manuscript for my book, which I hope to publish at some point. See, I forgot to pause, so now I have to pause. I hope that was a long enough pause. I would really like to eliminate my ahs, and try to put on more professional presentations. The young wife has instructed me not to present myself as I did before, looking disheveled and wearing my clothes, that I go to bed in, and my bed clothes, and looking like a ruffian. She doesn't like that when I do that. So instead I started pointing the camera at other things, and so this is what you get now. You don't get pictures of me talking, because I don't really feel like wearing a suit and a tie and looking professional, or if that's what looking professional is. I don't like putting on airs. And see, there's the ah again. I don't there it is again. I do not indulge in the egocentrism of oh, look at, there's a picture of me, don't I look so good, look at my image. I am not playing the Hollywood movie star game here. I am trying to relate important information to people, to wake people up and further their awareness. And that's why I'm doing this presentation on work. You see, personally, I take it as an offense when people even suggest that I am not working because I am not an employee of some corporate structure that pays me a wage. I feel that that is very short-sighted, and I feel that that is a statement about the ignorance of our society. And I noticed that because I'm currently on disability, and I qualify for age, I suppose. I was told that I did, but I'm not on age, because I feel like when you fill out those forms, you're signing your life away. And I could probably make more money or get more money from the government if I did fill out those forms and go on the age program. But I'm reluctant. And I know, I may not be in a position to quote unquote work again. But who knows? I believe in miracles. I think miracles can happen. Who knows? Maybe I can become an employee of some corporation again. I don't know. I do know this. I paid my dues as far as the contracts go. I've worked as an employee since I was the age of 14, and paid my taxes from that day forward. And I still pay taxes now, even though I'm on disability. I still pay taxes. Every time I buy a chocolate bar, I'm paying taxes. Oh yeah, I'm a taxpayer. Just about every morsel of food that I buy from the store, I have to pay taxes on. I'm a taxpayer. My property, the 22 acres that I purchased, property tax had to be paid on that. Pardon me, on that also. But yes, I was going to say, I have sold that property for $1 to my daughter, but that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is that I paid my dues, and anybody who criticizes me now for being on disability because I am quote unquote not expected to work, really should can it. I do realize I do require a number of operations, and who knows, maybe after those operations I will be quote unquote expected to work. But I have news for these people who list me as quote not expected to work, end quote, and that includes my doctor, because that is what he put down on the form, not expected to work. And I think that is really inaccurate. I think I know what that means, but it makes a statement about our society. Because I am not an employee, I'm not expected to work. Is that it? I am working right now, sharing this information with you. I am instructing my listeners in thinking, because if I am not functioning, I would not be able to speak right now. I'd be dead. So I am working. Every time I walk downtown to get supplies to feed my family, I am working. Every time I change a diaper, I'm working. And believe me, I've changed enough of them. I'm working, okay? Please don't tell me I'm not expected to work. That's like saying I'm not expected to function. I am functioning. Maybe I'm not functioning to the standard that others might want me to function, but that does not mean that I do not function. I function. Every time I take a shower, I function. Every time I breathe, I function. Every time I take a breath of air or do anything, I function. I work. Oh, yes, indeed, I work. And to all you people out there that are unemployed, start tuning in the people who criticize you. Okay? If they say, yeah, but you're not working, don't take that lying down. Okay? Make them eat their words. Remind them that you are functioning. You are still functioning. And that you do work. You do function. You do work. Okay? This is a conditioning that is used. This is a huge guilt-mongering device used to browbeat people into becoming employees for corporations, slaves. All right? I'm working, and I'm hoping that if I should ever find a good publisher to publish my book, that I will be able to generate income that way. But you see, I've paid my dues, and the income that I'm receiving is something that the party that signed that contract with me agreed to. And therefore, the party that signed that contract with me is legally obligated to pay me the monies that they agreed to pay in the event that I should become disabled in some way or some faculty. But that does not mean I am 100% disabled. No, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to buy that. And you people who are not employed should not buy it either. Don't buy into the not expected to work game. All right? You're working. All right? You're functioning. Okay? Just because you're not somebody's slave doesn't mean that you're not working. You're working. Okay? And you could work even more. You could work even better. Don't ever give up. Don't give up on that fight. Okay? You, as long as you can walk or talk or do anything, all right? You can work. I know people in wheelchairs. They're working, all right? Some of them are employees, all right? Some of them are employees. But just because some of them are not employees doesn't mean they're not working. Do you understand what I'm saying? The definition of work has been blown right out of proportion, and they're using a different definition of work to browbeat people and guilt trip people till they feel that they're not of any value to society. And you know what happens then? They get depressed and they get suicidal. And that is exactly what the enemy wants you to do. He wants you to get depressed, and he wants you to get suicidal. He wants you to feel guilty about taking any money from the government. Listen, you were robbed before you were born. Take as much as you can get from the government. All right? I think the whole thing is stupid. I really do. I think it's stupid, because if you realized how much you were robbed before you were even born, you wouldn't feel one iota guilty about taking whatever monetary gains you can from the government, because the government robbed you and sold you down the river. And men, especially men, all right, your heritage has been bought out. Okay, your birth certificate is used to secure loans on the stock market. Come on. Okay, government can't pay you what you're worth. You're a human being, created in the image of God. Okay, don't let these self-righteous people. I'm going to tell you something about people who work, because like so-called work. All right, the people who think they work because they're employed. Okay, I'm going to tell you something about people like that, because I was one of those people. I'm going to tell you a short story about people like that. Okay. Once upon a time, I was a self-employed individual with my own contracting company that I had for a number of years and was relatively successful. I kept my books in the black, all right, and I worked hard. And I'd work, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And at the end of the day, I would pull up, and I'd look across the field, and I'd see some guy there sitting on the steps, all right, long-haired guy drinking beer and watching his sons play in the field, okay? And every day he got to watch his sons play. Every day he sat there on the steps with a nice cold beer and watched his sons play. And he was on disability. I despised him. I despised him for being a lazy, no-good hippie who never worked. But actually, he was a very active man. He always worked on his vehicle. He actually had a vehicle. He helped in the care of his children. He was a very functional person, and yet he was not an employee. Now, he had epilepsy, and it did tend to run into problems for him. But he was a loving father. And, until which time I had a car accident, which put me in a very compromising situation, and I was somewhat disabled. I used to judge that man. These people who are employees, they need to feel important, and they need to feel superior to those who are not employees. So what they do is they accuse those who are not employees of not working. And they're no good bums, or they're deadbeat dads, or they're this or that, because they want to feel better about themselves. They want to feel that they are superior. But in the grand scheme of things, anybody who actually did work as an employee or in their own company, as I did, or did generate income by the sweat of their own brow, as I did, anybody who did that and then finds themselves in a situation where they can't do that anymore, all right, I salute you. Okay? And don't stop. Don't give up, because you could probably do it again. Odds are you could probably find some way to do it again. Write a book, do something, but function. Just keep functioning. Never mind what these hoity-toity slaves are saying about you, because you know what? They're just as much slaves as anybody else when they're working for some corporation for their wage, okay, and knocking themselves out to be good people. But you see, that's it. They're so wrapped up in being self-right and looking down their noses at everyone else who doesn't fit their category. And trust me, they're jealous of those who are also slaves like them and working for their bosses or whatever. Oh, it's disgusting. They're all so self-right. Don't let these people get to you. They just need to feel important. They need to feel like they're superior to somebody on disability. All right? So, this is why they say so many harsh things. Friend, I want you to get something right. It's really important that you get this right. I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, liberal or NDP. Okay? Politics are a joke. They're all in bed together, these people. You can't find honest politicians anymore, right? Don't even go there. But you really do need to get something right. It's very important that you have this right. Maybe you do have it right. Maybe some of my listeners actually have this down. I hope they do. I really do. Because if you don't, then, your thinking processes are at the mercy of some very malicious people, and you're not even aware of it. You're just probably a bigot or something. I have a very strong sort of right-winged leaning, and it probably comes from being self-employed so much, because I've owned 5 companies and kept them all in the black. I've never gone bankrupt. It's amazing when you think about these corporations that get bankrupt and get all these government bailouts, because I never went bankrupt. No, I paid off my creditors, and I knew when to close the books, and I knew when to start another company. And I knew how to keep that company in the black. And what looked like that company wasn't working out well, I paid off my creditors again, and I closed the books again. Here's the thing. I've never went bankrupt, but the very same sorts of people that look down their nostrils at me are people who have gone bankrupt. How about that? They've gone bankrupt once or twice in their lifetime, and they're looking down at people like me, but I've never gone bankrupt. Think about that. They need to, they need to think about that more than anyone else, okay? Friend, the poor are not bringing your nation to its knees, all right? If anything that's destroying the economy, it's all the government bailouts, it's corporate welfare that's hurting our economy, not the poor. But the government always likes to turn things so that the middle class income earner won't point to them. Instead, they point to the poor and the needy, and they despise the poor and the needy. Because why? Because they are terrified. Yes, they are. Deep down inside, they are fearful that they might just wind up like that themselves. And so they're saying that the needy and the poor are the cause of all this trouble and the blame. But when you really look at the brass tacks, when you really start looking at what percentage of benefits are paid in health and welfare programs for the less fortunate, let's say, and how many billions are dumped into corporate welfare, you can actually see where the impact is being made on our economy. It's not the poor. I said it's not the poor. Hello, it's not the poor. It's not the people on age. It's not the people on disability, okay? The people who sign contracts with their beloved government, and their government has to, by law, honor those contracts because a little percentage of their money got taken off their paycheck every 2 weeks or every month. All right? That's what our so-called unemployment insurance is all about, okay? For example. That is a contract that needs to be honored. And if they don't like it, well, then they should have never offered the contract to the employee in the first place. Hey, nothing personal. Business is business, right? You see, I just can't get over this because, the small businessman, for example, okay, and the employee, they always tell us, sink or swim, right? And, that's pretty much what my belief system was too, sink or swim, look, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, right? Sink or swim. But isn't it amazing when a fat cat gets himself in a little hot water, how he gets the government bailout? What hypocrisy! Why doesn't he just go bankrupt? Why doesn't he just, close the books and admit to the world that he failed, that his corporation failed, instead of begging and groveling to the government for bailouts like the rest of us have to? Do you see? This is not a fair system. This is not an honorable system. When the government starts bailing out all these corporations, when there's so much corporate welfare going on, and yet they're telling us little guys, us little self-employed people in our little self-employed companies, and people who are just, wage slaves, sink or swim. You see? There's a double standard there, friend. And it's not a good one. It's not a good one. I dare say it's not a good one. I hope some of you are getting this. I am by no means a socialist. Oh, no. But I am a social libertarian. In other words, what I'm saying is that every civilized, established society and nation that ever existed tended to their needy, tended to their infirm, tended to their widowed, and tended to fatherless children. And those societies that failed to do that imploded and died. Okay? So if that nation and that society intends to continue and to prosper, it will tend to the infirm, it will tend to the needy, it will tend to the widowed, and it will tend to the fatherless children. It will do that. It will take care of its own. All right? In other words, it has a social conscience. And many of those people who were maybe once needy or once infirm or once fatherless often grow up with some surprising success stories. Okay? This should not be overlooked, and wind up being major contributors, philanthropists, and humanitarians themselves. These are stories that need not be overlooked, but they often are. They often are. And I think it's really important that all these things be kept in mind when we look at the word work, W-O-R-K, because I want everyone out there to know something about me. I work. I work every day. And I work at being a good father, and I work at being a good husband, and I work at being a good employee, but my own employee. You know, I employ me, not on paper, not so that some corporation can go after me, but figuratively and, pragmatically, I employ me. And I employ me every day as I'm employing myself right now to make this delivery here to you. And this is my message. I work. And if you're unemployed, so what? You work too. All right? Don't let these browbeaters, these guilt trippers, and these holier than thous, don't let them do this to you. Because all they'll do is push you down even more, and then you won't feel like doing anything at all. You don't need that. You don't need that. Okay? You can create your own job. You can create your own company if you want. You can do it. Trust me. I know. I've been there. I'm older now, and I have a few things to tend to. But I mean to stay working to the day I die. Now, when I'm dead, I'm not working anymore. You know, and it's the same with you people out there who have retired. Don't buy into that retirement game. I'm going to have to save that for another lesson. Okay, because I want something very clear made here on retirement as well. Just because you're quote-unquote retired, that doesn't mean you stop working. You're still working. You're walking. You're talking. You have a million things to do. You probably have lists of things that you've always wanted to do that never had the time to do, and now you can do it. Guess what that is? That's called working. It's called working. It's called working. So this whole thing about, yeah, but you don't work, trash it. And when anybody ever gives you, jump down their throats, rip their tongues out, because they don't know the meaning of the word work yet. And I've just told you what the meaning of the word work is. It means to function in any given capacity. It means to function. Remember that the next time somebody tells you that you don't work. God bless you. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I really hope some of you got something out of this, because it's important that you do. God bless you. Thanks again for listening.